Well, we've hit the top of the hour with a bunch of Jabber users, but only one participant, two participants. So let's wait a little bit and see who else gets on the Meet Echo. Yeah, we have a Karsten, that helps. I think that's one thing I wish about Meet Echo, is that I could sort the participant list by the participant type. So I don't have to look through the whole list to sort out the Jabber users from the participants.
So do you just want to count them?
Do I just want what?
Say that again.
Sorry, I didn't hear you, Karsten. What did you say?
If you just want to count them, you can use the browser feature to look for the word participant.
Yeah,
and then
I know that.
Okay.
But what I'd like to do is just have the list of participants up at the top and then the Jabber users under that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because when I got on 10 minutes before the hour, I said, "Oh, look at all the people who are already on," and then I realized that no, they're all just Jabber users. They sitting in the Jabber room for weeks probably. And,
Well, I certainly did.
yeah. And I guess we're probably expecting Michael. Well, we'll give it till 5 after, and then we'll get started. And Marco, thanks very much for agreeing to help take notes. If somebody else would join him and make sure that we have two people keeping an eye on the notes, that would be great. And Christian tells me some WebExers are coming over, so that's good. Yeah, we have to get this sorted out and make sure that nothing points to the WebEx anymore. All right, it is 5 after the hour. Let's go ahead and get started. So Karsten, take it away. I have your slides uploaded for the preloaded slides, so when you're ready, you can just hit the Share Preloaded Slides button, and I will stop sharing.
Did you get the update?
It should be the 01 version.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Yes.
So looking at your list, we had the two documents in various forms of ISG processing first. Should we start with them? Because they are not in my slides.
Go ahead and start with the no slide babble, and then we'll switch to the slides.
Okay, so the one of them was the CDL control document, and Francesca kindly put in her AD review today. And this is a very concise ID review. And it has this observation that there is a double quoted text string in the text. And that is a discussion that we actually are having on one of the lists. I don't remember if it's Tools Discuss or RFC Interest right now. How are we going to work with parts of a document, of an RFC, of a draft, that are marked as typewriter face, the TT element of RFC XML, or the backquotes in Markdown. And traditionally, those have been shown as typewriter face in the HTML and have been as kind of indicated with double quotes in the plain text. But of course, if the text marked up that way already has double quotes, it looks very strange. And unfortunately, the RFC XML definition doesn't give you a way to actually say, please leave off the redundant double quotes. So you can, if you write something that is supposed to look like a double quoted string in typewriter face in the HTML, that always looks weird in the text. So that there is no solution to this problem because RFC XML is simply broken. And
the RFC editor will fix when the time comes. Yeah.
No, they can't, because the RFC is defined by its XML, and the XML only has a way to say there is something that is typewriter face, and that something.
Right. What I mean is whenever the rendering is fixed, it will get fixed. So
they are not touching the rendering.
Oh, okay.
The RFC editor is doing the XML, and the rendering is supposed to be automatic.
Right.
And if the XML says this is a typewriter-faced double quote delimited text, then the text rendering is going to give you a double quote.
I see. Thank you for explaining why it is that way. It might be worth switching to a single, like to remove this, try to get this rendering, because it was just confusing, but it's not a big issue. So yeah,
I'm just saying why I don't know how to fix this. And the discussion is ongoing. And there are some people who say the double quotes should always be removed from the text form. And Robert Sparks seems to like that. But of course, the problem is that then in the text form, you never see whether something is supposed to be the special typewriter font or is just plain text. And if you have, for instance, a CDL production that is called second, together with minute and hour or something like that, and then you will want to talk about the second production, it does make a difference whether the word second is in typewriter font or not. So you cannot really throw that away either. So that's the catch-22 we are in there right now. So I think this is the Department of Known Bugs. I don't have a response, and I think we really have to wait for the RFC editor to do something about this.
Okay. Do the right thing, of course. So
yeah, we had a lot of these cases in RFC 8949, and we kind of found a solution for each one of those. So maybe I can change the text in some way that this problem no longer occurs, but that's why it is the way it is.
Okay. But yeah, the document is in last call now, and it will end last call in 2 weeks. And I just wanted to ask Karsten, if you are going to be quick to reply, as you always are, to reply to the last call reviews, I might schedule it for the next telechat. So that you don't have to wait 2 more weeks. If there is, otherwise, if you don't think there is hurry, we can just wait.
Yeah, the problem is that I'm on vacation in week 38. And typically the reviews come in the week of the telechat. So I definitely will not be quick with those.
Okay, good to know. So I won't put it on the agenda for the next telechat. Great.
Yeah, too bad, but I think that's the right decision.
Yeah. And I just sent like 15 or 20 minutes, 30 minutes ago, the review for the other document, the CBOR network addresses. And I haven't requested last call because I just wanted to discuss this one point. So when I was reviewing this, I asked to myself, why are we having these two tags, 260 and 261, and why don't we obsolete them with this document? And I know that, like, I looked in the mail archive to see if there had been some discussion about it, and indeed some other people had the same comment. And I saw your answer, Michael. You said that you didn't really care either way, and Karsten, you were saying that you don't want to be doing restructuring of the whole IANA registry at this moment. And I think that we don't need to do the whole restructuring of the IANA registry, but we could do what other IANA registries do, which is to add a note saying obsoleted in favor of 52 and 54. And the document already states that, you know, these are meant to replace 260 and 261. So it would be just an addition to add it to the IANA registry itself. And I'm bringing this up just because I know that if I didn't, then you would get this comment in either last call or ISG review. So let's decide once and for all, and then we can have something to point back.
Yeah, so I think I agree with your approach. I have a little problem with the word obsolete. You know that we have had a multi-year discussion about the word update, and obsolete is the next one. Is going to be the next one, because those tags still exist, and out there there are still documents that have those tags. So if we were a chip maker, then we would write on the documentation, not recommended for new designs.
Mm-hmm.
But they are not obsolete in the sense that you shouldn't be using them anymore, because I mean they still work.
People could still be using them, yes, but
it's not recommended for new designs.
Yeah, obsoleted gives a stronger impression, like for people
So
coming and looking for what to use.
The word we often use for that is deprecated.
Deprecated is good.
Still supported, it's still supported on receipt, but you shouldn't use it to send.
Yeah, I would be very happy with the deprecated. And also another nit that we could discuss if you would have it in the now in the mail I sent, I put this note on the like the tag number column. You could also put the note in the semantics column instead. So where it says network address, you could add deprecated in favor of 52 and 54. But I think that if it's next to the tag number, it's more visible. So I prefer if it's to the tag number, but I don't mind either way.
Okay.
And just for the media types have media type registry uses this. That's why I'm suggesting this.
Which registry?
Media types.
Ah, okay.
So the text that you want, like the IANA considerations to have, would say something like tags 260 and 261, or the description of tags 260 and 261 is to be updated, deprecated in favor of tag 52 or 54.
Yes, I added in the chat and in the mail. I have some proposed text to add to the IANA section. This IANA is requested to add the note blah 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 to registration 260 and 261, something like that.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, I will write that literally down what you just wrote. Okay.
With deprecated instead of obsoleted, as we.
Oh yeah, deprecated.
Agreed.
Okay.
That's great. Okay, so since we agreed on this, then I'm gonna push the button and request last call. And same comment. If let me know if you think that if you want this on the ASG telechat in 2 weeks, which would be 2 weeks and 1 day, which means that I will have to put it on the agenda before the last call is over, and that will mean that I will ask you to be quick to update for any last call comments. This is a very short draft, so I think it's not a problem to. I don't expect a huge amount of comments, but if there is no hurry, then I can.
If there's time, that would be great, and I will be around to answer comments quickly.
Okay, great.
Even though I said Karsten's away.
Great. Thank you. Then I will do that for this one.
So do you want us to resubmit a version with that change before you press the last call button?
You can. I will request last call, and you can submit whenever you want, because usually last call reviews don't come before the 1 or 2 days before deadline. So if you can submit in the next day or two, that will be fine.
Great.
I have some comments from Karsten, some edits that are in the queue anyway, so I will submit it immediately.
Great, thank you. That's it for me.
Okay, so we are done with that agenda item, I think. So we can move to the next one. And this is a pretty new thing. So it's just mostly a request for thinking. We have had diagnostic notation for a long time. And we actually have changed it once in RFC 8610. We took the opportunity to define something called an extended diagnostic notation. And we always considered this to be a little bit more malleable. So we can actually change it because it's not that much meant for interchange. But in reality, of course, people write their tools around it. So we still have to be a bit careful that we don't break it. But we might want to think about additions to the diagnostic notation to support specific applications. And the application that came up is Coral, the Constrained RESTful Application Language, which is a hypermedia format. And being a hypermedia format, it mostly contains links to resources with some type information and target attributes and things like that. It contains forms, which are links that also come with information what should be submitted with following that link. So this would usually be a post or a fetch or something like that. And then there are places where you can just put some resource metadata that maybe aren't directly attached to links or forms, or the type information, of course, is metadata as well. So it's a pretty simple CBOR format, and this essentially came out the early discussion in the core working group about links JSON and links CBOR, which was a cleaned up version of RFC 6690 link format. So we almost got this document done, but in the end we decided, really, we don't want to have a link format BIS in JSON. We really want to look at the whole construct again and make it a little bit more useful. So we had a lot of discussion in the Thing2Thing research group, and now the drafts have gone into the core working group and are being discussed there. So that's the background. And the current draft defines two representation formats. A primary representation format, which is CBOR based. Of course, that's the format that the constrained devices are supposed to work on. But as usual, it's not so great to talk about Corel in a binary format. So you need some form of it for whiteboards and for examples in RFCs and so on. And we currently have a bespoke text-based format for Corel, and that's quite nice. So it's not something that we would throw overboard easily, but there is a danger here, which is that we start to design things that look nice in the text-based format, but really don't work very well in the CBOR-based format. So that's generally the problem with handcrafted examples, and this nice text-based format exacerbates the problem with handcrafted examples by one order of magnitude. And then people came and said, "Oh, you are doing a CBOR-based version. Are you going to do a JSON version too?" Yeah, so that's a question that's still up for discussion and not on the agenda today, because that's really a core working group issue and not a CBOR working group issue. But the whole discussion kind of brought up the question, can we actually maybe do something with CBOR diagnostic notation so we can stay close to CBOR in our text format and don't need this beautiful but somewhat two steps remote format? And the answer to that is it's actually incredibly tedious, because most of Corel actually is links. And links are transported in Corel in a pre-parsed form, the concise constrained resource identifiers. And these essentially are the meat in a URI. So you no longer have syntax there. You just have the content. And there are a few tricks there that allow you to save some number of bytes, so you don't actually have to spell out the scheme coap in this example. So the number -1 stands for the scheme coap. Anyway, so what's on the left side of this slide is the CRA form of what's on the right side as a UI. And of course, this looks big when you write it in diagnostic notation, but in reality, it's actually also a rather compact way to talk about UIs. So that's a bit of a problem if you want to write examples with that use Corel and use links somewhere. You generate a high cognitive load on the user of that example because they have to translate the CRI information back into the UI information they use. So what can we do about that? And one idea that came up was to actually fit diagnostic notation with an application-specific extension. So we can write something like the example with CRI quote and then actually a URI quote. And this is then by the implementation of the diagnostic notation essentially converted into CIA. And yes, this is a little bit like macros, except that we are not defining the macro language. We are only defining the macro construct, because you actually need to do some generalized programming to implement the conversion from a URI to a CI and back. Anyway, so the syntax we came up for this is patterned after the H and B64 and so on syntax we have for byte strings, and we are generalizing this. There actually is one example that exactly looks like this in Corel today, which is the date time information, which is in the text form taking essentially this syntax. So it seems kind of natural to do this, and I since learned that Rust actually has a similar mechanism. And yeah, so the application would define the word before the first quote or apostrophe character, and then everything up to the next apostrophe character would be what goes into that special processing. And of course, it's most useful to do something that actually can be reversed, so where you can take a piece of CBOR and show it in this form, like we are doing with embedded CBOR already. So you get something that's easy to read. So that's essentially what I wanted to float today. Is that the direction we want to go? Michael.
So irony here is that I wrote the only Rust macro I have written has been one to allow me to parse CBOR hex format from the tools there. But if I understand you right, this would be primarily something that is on the input side, and that we would not expect anything to emit this necessarily, unless it was a very much a Corel specific tool. Is that what I understand?
Yeah. So any diagnostic tool that is aware that it is looking at a Corel document or at another document that contains CRIs and is able to do this transformation would of course benefit from doing it.
So you're saying essentially that you would think that we need a registry for this, and I don't have a problem with that. I think it's going to confuse people if we're not really clear. The CRI does not go on the wire, but
well, the base 64 doesn't go on the wire either. So
yeah, but that's maybe
similar.
That's maybe a little bit more. It's a little bit easier for people to see that as just syntax, but I don't have a problem with that. I think that it's probably a good idea. I do want to know whether or not the lack of a space after the CRI is intentional. because that matches the rest of it. But and I guess you would populate it with H and B64.
Yes.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Any other comments? Okay, so I got some comments in the mail already that are kind of positive. So I would with some care say this could be a direction we should be going. Let's make some more examples and see how well this works. Okay, so while we are talking about Coral, I have another question that came up that at some point we need to look at. So Coral has queries, which are essentially the ability to take out a common prefix for a number of URIs, put that somewhere, and then reference this common prefix from other places. And that's great in the text form, but of course the question is, how do we do this in the binary form, in the form that is already parsed? And some queries work very, very well. For instance, if you just have a scheme and an authority, that makes a great prefix, and you could reference that just using CBOR-pact. But then there are other prefixes that do not really translate into something that CBOR-pact would be able to provide as to process as a prefix. So if you want to define a common prefix, everything is at coap.me/foo, and you really only want to say the bar in the URL that is at the bottom of this slide. There's no way to express this in CBOR-pact today, because we can only extend the whole array, so we can put additional entries in the array. But the array, of course, is structured into components like scheme authority, path, query, fragment. Yeah, that doesn't work. On the other hand, it may also worth pointing out, and I forgot to make a slide for that, that maybe actually limiting ourselves to prefixes isn't right either, because the combination of coap as some authority and /well_known/core is likely to be used a lot in a Coral document, and it would be nice to be able to do the equivalent here by saying this is a circumfix, or however we have called that, that can be used. And maybe queries actually are worth extending or changing a little bit for this, so the actual use cases we have can be addressed by this. So again, this is the question whether people have an opinion on this. Right now, I'm a bit frustrated that I cannot simply say, okay, this covers all we currently have in the Coral text format, because we haven't designed CRIs to be sequences of things that then would need to be parsed, that we want them to be pre-parsed. Okay, maybe that's a bit too new for people to have an opinion on. So I wrote a draft a while ago for the LPWAN working group about CBOR templates, which would nicely solve the problem in the second example. Maybe we need to resurrect those. Okay, so please, when you go home, start thinking about this problem. Can you point to the draft in the chat? Yeah, sure, I can. Let me just find it. Yeah, so I'm always a bit slow converting draft names into links. And it certainly cannot be tag 42 anymore because we are way beyond that number. Okay, that was all I had.
Mute button, okay. So, going back to the agenda, we have, do we have anything else people would like to chat about? Any other business for today? Okay, I think this was a good one. Thanks, Karsten, and thanks everybody who attended. And thanks especially to Marco and Ricard for taking notes. We will meet again 2 weeks hence.
Yeah, as I said, I'm going to be on vacation then, but that doesn't need to be a problem.
Well, and if we have nothing on the agenda, we will cancel it. So, but we have one scheduled for, what date would that be? 8 plus 14 is, I was a major in math, not arithmetic. That's the 20, oh, I don't know, never mind. 22nd, is it? Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll see you all on the mailing list.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.